time to cook for the first time, my first time, in this Emeril Lagasse pressure air fryer. And we are making succulent lamb shanks braised in Emeril's pressure air fryer. Look at that. It is a combination pressure cooker air fryer. I did a poll here on YouTube in my last video where I unboxed it. I'll put the link to that up there. And I also did a poll on Instagram, in my Instagram stories, and asked what recipe you want to see me do first, lamb shanks or bacon wrapped meatloaf. Lamb shanks won by a hair, so we're going to do lamb shanks today, but don't worry, all those who voted for bacon wrapped meatloaf, I'm going to do that in the next video, and I will put a link to that there too, or at the end. We'll see. You'll get links to everything, don't worry. So, like I said, this is my first time using it. Well, let's get into it, but please subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. And let's take a look at the recipe. This is the recipe out of the book that came with Emeril's pressure air fryer. And it says place the inner pot of the pressure air fryer, yep. And then season the lamb shanks with salt and pepper. Now this recipe called for 4 1-pound lamb shanks. And I ordered these off of Amazon, really. You know, Amazon owns Whole Foods, so they came from Whole Foods. I went to 4 different grocery stores in my neighborhood and nobody had lamb shanks. The guys in the butcher department said that people don't order them, so they've been going to waste. Then luckily when I got home, I remembered Amazon Prime bought Whole Foods, so I went online and ordered. I ordered them last night, and they have like one of those 2-hour delivery windows, so it was here by about 10:30 this morning. So we'll season that. Flip it over. And then get that salt and pepper on both sides. And I'm going to follow the recipe. You know, usually I will put my own spin on things, like use my own seasoned salt blend, add a little garlic powder, something like that. But I'm going to go by this recipe, follow as closely as I possibly can so we can really get a good idea of how good the recipes are in this book. Because that's a big part of it too. You need a good recipe book when you're using these air fryers and pressure cookers, just to get to know how it really works. So let me change the perspective there so you can get a look at the dial. Okay, season the lamb shanks with salt and black pepper. Press the saute button and then the program dial to select the beef setting. So I'm reading the directions and I'm trying to do exactly what they say. Press the saute button and then the program dial to select the beef setting. Oops, did I go to that says vegetables? No, I don't want to do that. How do I undo it? Let's start over. Okay, press the saute setting. Oh, it's already on beef. Can you see beef blink? Saute. It's already on beef. Press it and then press it one more time. There we go. And now we'll wait for the oil to get hot. All right, we're getting our vegetables cut up. Onions, garlic, carrot, and celery. We have 3 lamb shanks getting brown there in the Emeril Lagasse pressure air fryer. We'll flip those over in a second. Let me finish chopping this celery and stuff. You can take this little tough end off if you want. I don't think it's really mandatory because it cooks down so much that it doesn't make much of a difference. Just get that papery stuff. I do like to take that little end off that. And we've got lots of garlic. It says 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic. You can hear that lamb in there sizzling away. We're going to check it in a few minutes to see if it's ready to turn. There we go. Okay, getting brown on all sides. Let's take our second batch of lamb shanks out of the Emeril Lagasse pressure air fryer. It's nice and brown. We'll set that to the side. You look down in the pot and you see these brown bits. That is the fond. That is gold right there. You don't ever want to like wash this out or get rid of it because that adds a lot of flavor. The caramelized meat bits down in there will cook into the sauce and it's going to be delicious. Let's add in our carrots, celery, and onion, and saute those around for a bit. Our carrots, onion, and celery have been sauteing for about 5 minutes. I've stirred it occasionally. You can see that fond down there starts to lift up a little bit, which is good. And when we deglaze with the wine, it'll come up and add into our sauce. That carrot, onion, and celery mixture in French is called mirepoix. It's the basis of so many sauces, adds so much flavor. Let's put our chopped garlic in now. We add our garlic towards the end of the sauteing because it burns easily. And we're going to saute that around. This chopped really fine, and then it's going to cook under pressure, so I'm not going to saute it for too long. Now we're going to add in, we need some red wine, and I'm going to use Merlot. See our lamb shanks waiting for us there. So we need a half cup of Merlot, and I'm using Merlot because it's a low tannin red wine, and then maybe just a little for me too. Just a taste, you know. It's a low tannin red wine. The tannin is that, woo, love it. So let that boil. And tannins are that bitter, astringent feel you get from wine that comes from the seeds and the skins. Some wines have more and some wines have less. This is like, it's a rich, kind of a fruity, but not sweet wine. So we'll let that simmer down. Back up. Let that simmer down for just a bit. That wine is coming to a boil. The directions say to press the cancel button so we can temporarily stop the cooking. And what's next? Next thing we do is add in bay leaves, thyme, stock. All right, here's our fresh thyme, bay leaves, beef stock. Okay. Now we'll add in our baby potatoes as well as our lamb shanks. Get those all in there. And that's what the 4 lamb shanks look like nestled down in that pressure cooker. And here's the pressure lid. On. This part goes in front. Press the pressure lid. Oh, okay. Press the pressure button and then scroll to the beef setting, which is the second. Beef setting, and press the program dial, and then press the timer button. Okay, 58, 59, 60 minutes or 1 hour. So it doesn't come up to, doesn't say 60 minutes, it'll say 1 hour. And press the program dial to begin the cooking cycle. Okay. So I'll be back in an hour. See y'all later. That's it. See, I had switched to keep warm. It's beeping to let us know to come see. All right. So see how it's still closed? Now, if we were going to quick release, we would push, we would push this down and switch it to open to release the pressure quickly instead of waiting for it to naturally disperse. While we are waiting for the pressure cooker to naturally release, we are going to make, let's see, where is it? Our butter and flour mixture that's going to thicken the sauce. Oh, yeah, that's the last step. Combine butter and flour in a bowl. Whisk the butter mixture into the simmering cooking liquid until combined. So I'm going to just go ahead and combine the butter and flour in a bowl while we're waiting. So it's 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour, and this is called a beurre manie in French, and that's a technique of what they would say kneading. Some flour, this is just all-purpose flour, into softened butter, and then you thicken it, you add it to a sauce a little bit at a time to thicken it. So it's been about 20 minutes and our Emeril Lagasse pressure cooker air fryer, we're using only the pressure cooker right now. So it says to switch from closed to open, and we're just going to release whatever pressure is left. So let's do that here. And then we'll take a peek inside and see what's happening. And when all of this steam has finished releasing, then it will be safe for us to open. And with these electric pressure cookers, if it is not safe to open, it'll stay locked. It won't let you open it. So this is switched to open. And let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's take the lid off. Oof. Let any excess liquid drain off. And then let me show you inside the pot. Hang on. That is what it looks like down in our pot now that our lamb shanks have finished cooking. You can see how they're pulling away from the bone. Ooh, this is going to be a little tricky. And falling off the bone. Look at that. We're going to remove the lamb shanks and the vegetables to a platter. And then we're going to finish our sauce. There. Yeah, looks good. Now let's take a slotted spoon and remove the carrots, onions, and potatoes from the pressure cooker. We'll put those on the platter too. Make sure we get those all out. Once you get the vegetables all scooped out, you can remove the bay leaves, and if you want, you can strain the broth so you can make a smooth sauce. I've got some grits simmering on the stove. The recipe does not call for grits, but anytime I make a good sauce, I want to have grits or mashed potatoes or polenta or couscous, rice, something to sop up that sauce. So my grits are simmering on the stove. I'm going to cover the lamb and vegetables just to keep them warm. This also is not a step that was recommended, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to pour the sauce the broth actually, the broth into a fat separator, just to, there we go, separate out the fat. You see that, how the fat has floated to the top, and then the spout here pours from the bottom. So I'm going to pour off that bit of fat on the top there out of the spout, and then when the broth pours from the bottom of here, it'll just pour the broth and will stop pouring once we get to the fat. All right, we're going to pour that back in, and you can strain the sauce, strain that broth out as well if you like to make a smoother sauce. But you can see here how it's pouring from the bottom and the fat still floats on top. So I really recommend that. And then you just stop pouring and leave the fat behind. Hit saute. And beef is already highlighted. And we're going to let that simmer again, and then we'll add our butter and flour mixture. Now we'll whisk that butter and flour mixture into the simmering broth and let it thicken up. We'll do it a bit at a time to let the butter and flour mixture melt into our simmering broth. Let's do a little bit more. And then we'll let it simmer until it's as thick as we would like it to be. We want it to be able to coat our lamb. Oop, can you see how nice and thick our sauce has gotten after it's simmered a bit with that butter flour mixture? Yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna let it simmer down a little more. We'll taste it for seasoning, see if it needs a little salt or anything. I'm gonna go check on my grits, and then we'll serve. Let's add our grits. And I added some turmeric to those grits because I wanted that nice yellow color. You can use, they have yellow grits or polenta. Couscous would be nice. Now let's get our sauce. Let's pour that sauce nice and thick over all of the lamb, potatoes. Gravy is always good. Now, because we're fancy, sprinkle a little bit of parsley. Good stuff. Dinner's ready, y'all. Nice. Let's get a fork and see just how tender this braised lamb is. Corey! Oh. Let's taste it, okay? He's been waiting for these lamb shanks. I already gave it a taste, so dig right in. A little lamb, some grits, potatoes, and carrots. What do you think?
Lamb. Oh, lamb.
Okay. All right.
Teddy lamb.
Okay. I guess he likes it.
That's good.
Well, that's it. You saw it here. This was my first demo, first try at Emeril's pressure air fryer. Works well. I only use it as a pressure cooker this time. The next time I will use it as a pressure cooker and an air fryer. When we do a head-to-head battle with the Ninja Foodie battle, stuffed bacon wrapped meatloaf, yeah, that's going to be next. Stick around for that one. Once I do that, I'll put the link in the description box, and I'll put the link right there, like where he's standing, right in his tummy. And please click on my face to subscribe. No, you don't.
Oh, lamb.
You're already subscribed.